Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top of the List. I'm your host, Dom, with my co-host here, RB,
What's up, guys?
coming at you with a movie review. As promised, we took a little break here over the Mother's Day weekend, spent some time with our respective mothers, of course, spent some time together as well with all our family. And now we're back in it. We're going to be doing movie reviews while we're waiting for our next TV show to start, that being Loki, of course. And I think we just wanted to go back into the logs here. You know, as before, if you were following us for a long time, we did record some episodes that we never went up and released. And mostly my fault. I just got lazy and forgot about it.
From the vault.
But now that we have the new microphone, we want to go in. We want to get some nice crisp audio recordings of these reviews. And we also want to record some episodes that we never got a chance to. That being Bad Education, Ford versus Ferrari. And then we're going to be redoing Run. We're going to be redoing American Psycho. And then a couple new ones like Planet of the Apes. And hopefully we're going to review the 4K Blu-ray collection of 4 Hitchcock films remastered that we just went and got at Best Buy a few weeks ago. So a lot coming up. Ryan, did I miss anything there?
No, I think we've got a good slew of content coming for all you folks at home. But let's kick it off now with tonight's review, or today's review, depending on when we decide to post this one. We're going to be reviewing a film that Dom had seen many times, one that he showed me for the first time. And after watching it once, definitely one of my favorite films now, almost of all time, American Psycho.
Maybe we should dub this series of movies we're going back and reviewing the apartment picks or something like that, you know, because these are ones that you and I have watched together in the apartment, you know, and that we both enjoyed spending time together watching along with Caitlin and Mochi too. So, let's talk American Psycho. This film came out in 2000. All right. It's the director. I have it ready here on my phone. Mary Herron, a female director, and based on a novel by
Bret Easton Ellis, written in 1991. That really, I think the novel, and then even better so, the film pays, I guess you don't want to pay homage, but definitely depicts the serial killers of the 80s and 90s. You know, the main one that comes to mind is Ted Bundy and others of the likes.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of leads us into, you know, our star-studded cast led by the great Christian Bale, you know, an actor that I've enjoyed a lot of his work. Ryan hadn't seen much of his work when we watched this, and now we're trying to widen his repertoire of Christian Bale films here. And man, one of the best psychopath performances, up there with Norman Bates, played by Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, absolutely. Up there with Norman Bates, up there with we had just watched, I'm blanking on that, Misery. That's Kathy Bates playing. Kathy Bates. I can't think of the name of the main character, but Kathy Bates' performance, amongst others, Jack Nicholson and Cuckoo's Nest as well. But yeah, a terrific performance by Christian Bale. Seen him as Batman, seen him as the British driver in Ford versus Ferrari. Don't know the guy's name, can't think of it, but and now I've seen him as Patrick Bateman, and easily my favorite performance he's given out of those three that I've seen.
With him with the chainsaw. So many great moments with Christian Bale in this one, and I think what really sets his performance apart in this one is how he can go from being absolutely hilariously dark to really funny, right? And it's just this great transition, and it never feels out of place. It never feels too out there. It feels darkly satirical, and it is just a pitch perfect performance, in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. I couldn't agree more with you. A brilliant performance. I think you hit the nail on the head there in just how he so smoothly transitions. You know, he truly plays someone who is a psychopath, who's detached from reality, whether it's the internal monologues or the dialogue that he's giving. It's, you know, we've been watching the trailer here to find a good scene. We settled on the chainsaw and the underwear pick. But you know, one of the famous scenes where he's in the club and, you know, just so calmly. So one of the strippers that they're sitting with says, "Oh, so what are you into?" And he goes, just so calmly, I'm into murders and executions. So much so that she just hears him say mergers and acquisitions and starts talking about that. Because, you know, truly this is the persona he has adopted.
Yeah, totally. And There's a lot of great lines in here. You know, of course, the quintessential scene in this one, Huey Lewis in the news.
Hip to be square.
It just kills Paul Allen. Who's going to get a reservation at Dorsia now? He slices him open with the axe.
Yeah, and the rain. Man. Is that a raincoat?
Yes, it is a raincoat.
Yeah. Without a doubt, be one of the greatest scenes, I would say, of, if not all cinema, of modern cinema from 1990s on. Truly a brilliant scene, brilliantly directed, choreographed. You know, the cinematography is perfect. And then, of course, acted by both Christian Bale and Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto. Not in this one for that long, but, you know, doesn't make that much of a mark on the film, in my opinion. But he's there to serve a purpose, and that's to be his first victim of the movie.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to say that with the rest of this cast. As great as Christian Bale is, like you said, this is a star-studded cast that really it didn't need to be. If these were a bunch of no-name actors, you know, Jared Leto obviously wasn't as big of a name at the time. He had yet to achieve fame through his band 30 Seconds to Mars, and then later on as the Joker. So Jared Leto, Reese Witherspoon has a very small role in this as his fiance.
She's still good in this one, though. Just kind of forgettable, I guess you could say.
I'm trying to think who else. There's one other big name in here. Who am I missing?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe's character, and this was my one negative from the film, and I think you're going to disagree with me here.
Okay.
But I just felt like his storyline was not necessary.
Yeah.
I understand he created some suspenseful scenes, and I know you have a fun fact there that you're going to share a little bit later. But all in all, I just after my only other experience with Willem Dafoe was the Green Goblin, and seeing him, you know, just really steal the show there in the Spider-Man film.
Performance there.
This, I just felt like he was very underwhelming as the detective.
I think the key word here is he's very understated in this film.
Yes,
very understated. And you're right. There's not that many other standout performances here. But yeah, it's really the Christian Bale show through and through.
When he totally handles it perfectly and makes this an excellent film.
Absolutely. And, you know, I did want to give a little behind the scenes fact here. You know, I like to do the behind the scenes stuff. Ryan has to do the research of the history and like the book, the novel, all that stuff. And Ryan has a few references he wants to bring up as to what they reference in future things that happen, you know, more modern day that reference back to this film. But some of the scenes with Willem Dafoe, if you guys haven't seen the film, it's he's a detective that's investigating the murder of Jared Leto's character, Paul Allen. And Willem Dafoe comes to Patrick Bateman's, Christian Bale's, office as an investigator, and he asks him a few questions. And Mary Herron, the director in this one, had a brilliant idea here that I think kind of paid off a little bit. And that being, they recorded this scene with Willem Dafoe playing it 3 different ways. 1, Willem Dafoe knows that Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. Number 2, Willem Dafoe has no idea that Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. And number 3, Willem Dafoe only suspects that Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. And they intercut Willem Dafoe's different scenes so that you really have no idea, and it really leaves you uncertain that whether or not he actually killed him or not. And I think that was a really smart choice there, and it worked out in that one scene and paid off in the end. But did you want to talk about anything else here?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about, you know, this character, obviously, while we're watching the film, at least your first time watching the film, and you know as the viewer that Paul Allen is killed by Patrick Bateman, you understand the suspense. But once you've seen this film, and I don't want to go too far into the end without giving a spoiler alert. But once you see how the cards unfold, to me, it's a whole cop out on why is Willem Dafoe's character even there? That is my question.
I see.
Because I'll just give the spoiler warning here.
Spoiler warning. We're going to start talking about how the film ends.
As we see, none of these murders actually take place. That's all going on in the head of Patrick Bateman. Once again, possibly malazed by and inspired by a lot of these true debonair serial killers like
Bundy.
Yes. You know, just sort of a victim of the media and seeing all this play out and then creating the fantasy in his head. But if this is the case, and, you know, Jared Leto's character, Paul Allen, was never killed and he was just on vacation in London, why is there a detective there investigating it in the first place?
Just because he was missing. because he was missing. He never explained he was leaving for London.
I feel like people go on business trips to London, which it was all the time, and that isn't cause for concern, you know,
especially in the 80s, right? Yeah. And I think what the reason was, the kind of catalyst was, is that his girlfriend, you know, Paul Allen went to London to go, you know, abscond with some London women.
Oh, that's
and okay. his girlfriend didn't get a call.
Got
you know,
this was. I'm sure I would have picked up on that more when we had just watched it, but we watched this one probably back in January or early February. So
yeah. But yeah, no, totally. I get what you mean. But other than that, Willem Dafoe only has like 2 scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, the interrogation scene in the office, and then afterwards when he tells them, "Oh, we found that you didn't kill Paul Allen."
Yeah, just the result, and like you said, could have easily been cut out, but yet then again, Willem Dafoe was a seat seller in that decade of filmmaking. So the reason why he was in it, I totally see where you're coming from, though, bud.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the ending, but let's talk about the finale here. I think it really starts off with the ATM scene. You know, we open up.
Stuff a cat here.
Yeah,
insert cat here.
Yeah, Patrick Bateman sees, you know, he's trying to get cash out of an ATM, and it says, I think it says, "Feed me a kitten."
Feed me a kitten. Yes.
And he sees a kitten walking by for some reason and picks it up and tries to shove it into the ATM. And an old woman sees him doing it, which causes him to shoot the old woman. Witnesses are there, so he goes on a rampage.
He kills like 20 people.
Yeah, and including is cornered by the police. They have, you know, heavy artillery on him. He's just got a pistol and somehow shoots one of the police cars that causes an explosion to kill everyone in his way. And then finally gets to his office and gets on the phone to his lawyer and goes into this completely hysterical monologue on all the people he's killed. You know, how he's counting them out. He's going, I've killed 10, maybe I've killed 20, 30. I can't even remember anymore. One of them, I kept her head in the freezer and I tried to eat her brain. I tried to cook it a little bit.
Just the panic in his voice, the hysteria. I mean, when we were watching that, you were like, wow, give this guy an Oscar.
Yeah. And so we get through this great scene, and the next day he goes to meet the lawyer in the bar, and you know, the lawyer, first of all, doesn't even know it's Patrick Bateman. He thinks it's someone else. He thinks the phone call that he got was someone else impersonating Patrick Bateman, and doesn't even suspect it. You know, once again, Patrick Bateman has been telling people throughout this entire film that he's a mass murderer.
Yeah.
You know, he says things like, "I like to dissect women."
Yeah.
You know, I'm into murders and executions, and yet nobody picks up on it.
Yeah.
And including his lawyer that he just sent a confession to, a hysterical confession. He goes, "Oh, that was hysterical, man. That was so funny."
Yeah.
I mean, and then, you know, we have the big reveal that he says Paul Allen isn't dead.
Yeah.
I just saw him in London last week.
Yep.
And then we get sort of this moment of realization from Patrick Bateman, perfectly interlaid with his secretary discovering his notepad of him drawing all of these murders that we've seen him do, further leading us to believe it's all just in his head this whole time.
Just a fantasy he's been playing with in his head over and over.
Yeah.
And and I think when we first watched it, and you know, you said maybe a little bit of a cop out. You wanted to see
still feel that way.
Okay,
that's what keeps the film. I mean, I'm going to come out with my score right now. We haven't talked about it yet, but my score is a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
And what keeps it from being a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10 is this cop out of an ending. And I understand why they did it. It's a, you know, like we said, it's Patrick Bateman being malayed by all these other serial killers, and just, you know, sort of an everyman who wants to take that step in his life and fantasizes about it and doesn't act on it, paired with probably this, you know, cocaine fueled, you know, stock market 80s kind of guy.
Yep.
But, you know, I felt like it was somewhat of a cop out. I wanted to see where they were going to go with, you know, how he was, you know, were people finally going to catch on? And, you know, where he's saying, you know, Patrick Bateman is not a person. He's an enigma. Like, what does he mean by that?
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see more into that rather than just a cop out that, oh, it was all in his head the whole time.
Every morning I use a full body aloe vera spray or something like that.
I make sure to use nothing with aluminum, as that is harsh on my skin.
And it dries you out and makes you look old.
Yes.
He's doing the push-ups and the toes. But yeah, so as far as the ending goes, man, I think you take it a little more literally there. I like to read into it a little more. Okay. For me, the whole cop-out, as you describe it at the end there, is kind of a commentary on our society. You know, guys like, you watched it. I haven't seen it, but Ryan says he watched the Wicked, Evil, and Vile.
Yeah, both the I guess the dramatization of the Ted Bundy killings, followed by watching the Ted Bundy tapes, which a week later Netflix released, that were a true, just straight uncut interviews of Ted Bundy in prison talking about the murders. I got really into researching Ted Bundy. It's a very, very sick man, but but that's definitely who this character is modeled after.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like you were always telling me, after watching those, you tell me like this guy was just a charming individual. He had a lot of charisma, and he just hid it underneath everybody's nose. And that's what this film is commenting on, is that you could be sitting next to someone and they could be holding a dark secret within like that, and you would never even know. But and that, to me, that's the meaning.
Were there truly dark secrets? I mean, if we're looking for meaning here, I'm almost thinking that Patrick Bateman thinks himself different because he's thinking that. But I think the commentary, because he never acted on this, is maybe all of us have those dark, those dark
That's
thoughts.
What I'm saying. Maybe all of us are like that. Yeah,
exactly. Because really, I mean, this whole movie we are watching and thinking Patrick Bateman is a psycho, when in reality, he's he's having these thoughts, but he's never acted on them. And people have moments of weakness. Obviously this guy has a lot of them where they think dark thoughts,
which is my reasoning behind how that whole confession, and then his lawyer just finds it hysterical.
Right.
If someone left me a phone call like that, I would not find it hysterical.
I agree.
But then maybe they're saying, at least maybe it's a commentary on just businessmen or the world of business, or maybe it's a comment on all of us that, maybe we all innately have this kind of darkness inside of us like that we just keep hidden down as humans.
Or even maybe not always, but maybe it's a product of the generation.
Maybe it's definitely,
all it takes is one a sick man like Bundy to inspire others just to start thinking that way.
And that's behind cults. We can get way into it, but we don't have time to digress even further. But that's what makes this film an amazing film to me. Like you said, 9 out of 10. I'm going to fully agree with you, Ryan. 9 out of 10. An amazing film, not quite to that masterpiece level, but really a phenomenal film through and through. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my favorite kill of the film, which I think where I'm going, the chainsaw drop at the end.
Leading up from this scene, starting with this scene.
Yeah.
They're
waiting for her to go down all the way to the staircase, and he's just waiting for her, and then drops and cuts her in half.
And the celebration too, when he does it, he goes, yes, yeah, he's so excited, like he just hit a home run. And just watch the Dodger game, watch someone celebrate a home run. That's what it was like. Just a fist bump.
So much creativity behind this film. Everybody involved did a fantastic job, and so that's going to kick off our kind of serial killer series here, or our apartment favorites. So any final thoughts on this film, RB?
I mean,
you never talked about the references.
For any this is a fun one for me, that it took me a while once I saw the author to figure out where I had heard that name before. For any Riverdale fans out there, I know Dom watched a couple of seasons. I've been along for all 5 seasons so far, and not stopping anytime soon. One of the main villains in season 3 or 4, sort of a serial killer-esque character, and also like Patrick Bateman, suave, debonair kind of guy, is Brett Weston Wallace. The author of American Psycho is Bret Easton Ellis. And so I find that a fun little tidbit. They hide some good names in there, and then also have some terrible ones that are just like smack us in the face with it. Sort of like the Rick and Morty, who's a vampire at the school? Oh, it's Coach Ferratu.
Speaking of Rick and Morty, now that we're done with our American Psycho review here, coming up, we want to also do a few animated series reviews. Definitely going to do Rick and Morty. I'm near the tail end of season 3 on my binge. Ryan's watching it through for what, your second or third time? Third time through.
Watched it when it all came out.
So once I'm done with season 4, we'll review every season, rank them top of the list style. What's the top of the list? What's the bottom of the list as far as the seasons go? Also going to give that treatment to Avatar: The Last Airbender, my favorite show of all time. I think we've said it before. Ryan and Caitlin have watched it through for the first time. I'm very interested to see what they rank it as. So, some interesting animated series to come up. Did I miss out on any there?
No, I think we hit them all there. We've got some animated series coming. We've definitely got, of course, Loki once that drops.
Yeah.
Some great films coming too to HBO Max as we creep into the summer months, our summer blockbusters. I know we're excited about In the Heights.
In the Heights.
There's another big one this summer too. I'm really excited about. I'm trying to think. Well, I'm sure we're getting MCU ones coming soon. And then do we also have this summer? Is Suicide Squad this summer, or is that
Suicide Squad's this summer?
Okay, so a lot of good things coming this summer, as well as Loki. And then, of course, as we said, some of our film reviews, we're going to do Planet of the Apes. We're going to do Run, if we haven't posted that one already, amongst others. So a lot more great content coming for you folks at home.
All right, guys, that'll be it for us this week. Stay tuned for those future reviews. And as always, give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you're interested in watching more videos coming soon. Check out our recent videos that we've released as well. Go back in our catalogs and feel free to watch those. Also, you can find us on podcast services. If you don't want to watch on YouTube, you want to listen on your drive, or you want to listen while you're biking or on a run, then you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to give us a good review there as well. With that said, everybody enjoy the rest of your week.
Later.